Everyone is welcome here, it's time to make new friends. Aquavide Uskava, fill your Glencairn. Share a dram with the spirit of Edmonton. Sluncha!
That's all for our whiskey neighbor friend. Good evening, whiskey brothers, whiskey sisters, and whiskey friends. And welcome to episode 52 of the Canadian Whisky Journey's Whiskey Review. I'm Dolph. I'm your host tonight. And we are joined by John, this fellow right here, our fellow whiskey neighbor.
Hi, guys.
And we're really happy to have you on tonight, John. Thank you for coming.
Thanks for hosting me, Dolph.
No, I'll continue my spiel. We're continue our Canadian Whisky Journey with Sons of Vancouver Whiskey Advent Calendar, which you see right there in front of John. Now, John's been posting his thoughts on his own Instagram page, and what we have today is it's a beautiful Christmas collab between some fellow whiskey lovers. So, and I'm reviewing it for the first time. I'm double fisting two divergent whiskeys tonight because I like it when they're divergent. I tend to get certain senses and certain flavors that I don't get if I do it alone. And what I'm doing is this one right there. Can we get a picture of that? And that's the Oaxacan Mezcal Barrel Rye Whiskey and the Carazo Barrel Rye Whiskey. Those are the two that I have. And John, what do you have? You're going to open up yours and hopefully get one of these because John has not been cheating at all. He's been going day by day.
I have. Now I'm behind, so I don't have either of those open right now, and I'm hoping that when I pop these open, day 11, it could be, oh, that's the wrong color. This is a chocolate cream liqueur. We'll put that away for later.
Okay.
But I do have a couple of ryes that I can talk about, and we might get some shared notes just because they're coming from the same house. This is an Oloroso sherried rye. I was really hoping for that one. It looks like I'm not going to get the same as you, my friend.
Maybe one of the two? One?
No, not even. Max's old-fashioned peanut butter. So 2 liqueurs and I've got a whiskey, but
that's okay. I'll do my notes. You do your notes. We'll put them together. They will taste nothing the same.
Nothing at all.
But you know what? I'm going to do a little bit of an introduction about this distillery. So let's get some pictures going. So right here. And I'm guessing, have you been to the distillery? Did you go to North Vancouver ever?
I've been in North Van, but I have not been to Sons of Vancouver.
Okay, well, this guy right here, and James Leiter, fantastic guy. I went there in July 2021. I did kind of a trip with a friend, and we went from distillery to distillery, and his was one. We had a great time. We talked about his bartending days in Australia. We toured the distillery. We snuck into his neighbor's distillery, which was just out the back. He had the keys, so we snuck in there. We ate at the food truck that his wife owns, and we hung out in the lounge in here. Just a couple little quick. There's some pictures there, so you can see it from the inside.
I've seen pictures of that, but not been there. It looks fun.
And there's the lounge, which is good. And this we talked a lot there, as you would imagine. I'd love to be there now if I wasn't in my own little room, but
what's he got there?
And we both did the review of the palm trees, and I've got mine right there, both of them. So the palm trees and my lovely wife's passing the other one up. So that one we shared. The palm trees, a tropical breeze. And right there, the marshmallows over. No, you did the marshmallows over a campfire as well, because you got the marshmallows out.
I did review, but it was a taster, like a bottle of this size, and then a little candle. And I did the whole make a s'more at the end of it. Yeah.
Okay, and I'm not gonna wreck it for you with what else is in the box, because unlike you, I opened the box up and not individually, but the whole thing, and I just picked out all the whiskeys because I wasn't going to do the liqueurs. I was just going to focus on the whiskeys. So Tuesday, Thursday this week, Tuesday, Thursday next week, it's all whiskey. And
I very much respect that. For me, I wanted to be part of that build up for Christmas. For me, I wanted the Advent every day. I don't know what I'm getting, and just shoot live kind of thing. So that's why I've stuck. I'm committing to only doing it in order.
Do you have any other advent calendars. I've got a cheese advent calendar and a beer one from Costco. And I almost got a jam one too. I love it.
A friend I work with got a jam one, and he can't stop saying how wonderful it is. Every morning, it's not a hardship. I open up a new jam, give it a try.
Yeah, and my cheese ones, I bring it out, and my students ask me what's going on. What day do you have today? Or what do you have today? Today was just a basic one. But anyways.
Well, I think you advertised the two that you're about to talk about. So why don't we get into those?
Let's do it. And so, quick information. Oaxaca is what it looks like, but Oaxaca, and it's the home of mezcal. So that's why I picked that, because when I looked at that and it said just Oaxaca and mezcal, I thought it was just mezcal, and it's smoky. It's got a little bit of the smoke which you get from mezcal because the agave hearts are thrown into a cylindrical pot, and it's not burned, but it's cooked in there, and you get the smoke. So it's coming out.
Obviously a different style because it was mezcal finished young Scotch, the 8-year-old blend from Dewars, but their mezcal that was like under $30 for me was like surprisingly for me good, and I totally got those smoke notes.
And I don't know if I'd expect it. Yes, you hear it, you think you're going to get it. It's a hint on the nose. It's just coming up a bit, and it's the same thing as these the campfire. There was more smoke on that, but when you actually taste it, it comes out. And I already tasted this as well. And when you taste it, that smoke really comes out. So on the nose, hint of smoke and the sweetness. When you get to it, I want to know your opinion too, because I get butterscotchy, and I usually try to think in terms of 4 things for sweet: caramel, butterscotch, honey, and like confectioner's sugar, like Rockets sugar type thing.
Yeah.
I kind of go to those 4. This one for me is butterscotch. So when you get to it, I'd like to know. But on the palate, it's all smoke and mezcal.
So when you say smoke and mezcal, though, I can get the smoke, but back in that mezcal Scotch, I was getting a little bit of a green herbal note that I would not get on the regular blend from Dewars. Do you get anything like that? Like any kind of that, like you said, it could be mental, right? You get that roasted agave plant, and now I'm thinking, am I tasting agave? Like, what is that? But I honestly went back to that bottle lots, and I'm like, yep, there's definitely a herbal note in there. Do you get anything there?
Well, the agave, the herbal with the agave. So it reminds me of mezcal and what do? You shoot tequila. It tastes very tequila-like with the smoke with it. And the only thing that I get that's a little bit divergent is kind of a little bit of licorice star of anise that comes out a little bit in here. And the finish is it's all sweet to start with, then it goes agave spice, which is like the tequila flavor that we to a tequila, and then it ends with the heat, which makes sense. And you've mentioned it on yours, the high test that we're getting. This one's 57.3%. So I think everyone will understand when we talk about that one. Do you want to do one of yours, and then I'll go over to the Carasso?
Absolutely. What I pulled out today, although now I forget whether it was because I was behind 11, 12, or 13, but one of them, I don't know if you can quite catch it, but it's rye again. They've got a lot of rye in their house. But it's Oloroso.
I think that was your 12.
Okay, awesome. Thanks for catching that, because I didn't write it down, just pulled it out. But it's, like you said, 57%. So coming to this, because I've had now a number of their ryes, I want to see what notes I just get right up front. So when I look at their ryes, they're not overly herbal for me. There are a little bit of that. There's a little bit of grass in there, a little bit of spice, like kind of prickly a little bit. But this one is a little high test. I know I've said that before. You just said it, like high test. But what I mean is I'm noticing the alcohol more on the nose. And the sweetness from the sherry is pretty sweet. It's a bit jammy and a bit cherry, almost like it's not leathered or older or cooked. You know, like sometimes depending on where you are, because it's not PX, it's this Oloroso. So sometimes I can get a little darker, a little mustier type notes with that. This one right now for me, I just open it, but I just going with it. It's pretty sweet. Yeah.
And so the Oloroso sherry, you get that every once in a while. The matchstick scent, I don't know how to do it. What would you call it, Max?
Like this, like you mean a bit of sulfur in it, or what do you mean?
Sulfury. Yeah, let's stick with that. So do you get that whatsoever? And my lovely wife went upstairs and grabbed it. So now I'm tasting the same one you're doing. So here.
Okay.
No, I won't be doing this in the future. So let's get. I'll get 3 done in one night.
Well, are you pouring it right now? Are you doing it or
no? It's right there. It's in my mini cup. It looks like I have gigantic hands, but it's my mini blend here.
Yeah, you know, for me, not overly sulfur. Like there's a few sherry houses that can really blend into sulfur, even though I like them. Sometimes Glenfarclas gets me there, but I'm not getting that right now. Are you?
No, you said jammy, and I'm sticking with the jammy. I'm getting kind of the red fruits so the sweetness. I told you it was the 4 of them. The one I'm kind of getting on here is a little bit of confectioner sugar. So that's my sweetness I'm getting off of it.
And that's my connection to like maybe I eat sweet jam, but if I'm having like a strawberry jam or whatnot, it's pretty sweet, and that's kind of what I'm getting, like a sugared note. Oh, cheers.
Sorry, I just went ahead of you. I'm just jumping in. And the mezcal finish, it overpowered their rye. It did. So we get that more than the rye, and I couldn't pick up the rye that I've come to expect from them. I'm going to ask you this question. Are you able to pick them out, do you think, their rye blind? Because I think I've had enough of theirs now that there's a distillery kind of backbone to most of the ryes that I'm getting. I'm wondering if you are getting that type of read from them yet.
Well, I think I'm getting there. And you can see, like, even though I've opened each one of these live and shot, I only shoot the 1 dram so I can come back to it, right? Like every one of these, I don't go, and they look tall, but they're just 50 ml bottles. So really it's just a taste I've had. But I also agree. I think I'm getting to a house style, and I appreciate that. I like to be able to recognize houses. Yes. Will I, at the end of this calendar, I would be confident I'll be able to pick out their rye because we're getting a lot of it. Yeah. What are you getting on the palate? Have you put down, or you stayed with your mini and we're looking at the Oloroso? Or
I'm still on your Oloroso with you, and until you get to the end, I'm here with you.
Okay. Well, because I was going to switch back to a question then to you as host. What's your palate speaking here for the Oloroso?
No, we said jammy, but I start with the heat, and the heat dissipates, goes into a little bit of a fruity, and I'm looking for the spice. I'm looking for the rye spice that comes up often enough with theirs. And for me, their rye spice is not a black peppery spice. It's more flavorful for me. It's kind of a ground. I don't know. I don't want to say cinnamon, because not really cinnamon or clove, but it's a spice in that extent, not the heat. And I'm looking for that here, and I'm not really getting it. I'm getting more of the barrel influence than anything else, more Oloroso than rye. Yeah,
I would like to echo that, but for me, the sweetness in the nose, like there's an inherent sweetness, sure, in the palate, still there, but actually, I'm getting. Remember, I'm in the nose. I said sometimes in Oloroso I'll get like musty or leathered or cooked or baked, that kind of stuff. Well, the palate for me is actually bringing almost a char or it's bringing some of that wood forward to it, which is giving it. No, we're not eating jam on crumpets. This is a whiskey, and it's at 57%, and we're here to kind of relax, like not quite tobacco, but I'm getting into that more cooked flavor that I didn't get in the nose.
It's fuller, it's richer on the palate, and I like that. I like it when they complement each other. I don't like it when the nose and the palate are disjointed. So that it's not disjointed. It's just a further development of it. And I agree with you. I kind of and that happens with the sherry. You think the leather, you think the heavy Christmassy kind of feel and everything that comes around it. But on the nose is still just really fruity and jammy. I'm enjoying the nose more than the palate. That's not saying I'm not liking it, but I could sniff this, I think, for a good hour and really just go with it. I only have a little bit left, so I'm going to think about the finish as you continue. Or do you think about the finish?
Well, for finish for me too, like I do like to let it sit for a bit, have a sip, let it sit for a bit, try to see. I heard an interview with, who was it on Whiskey Cast, that just said they were mixing whiskey and they started with the finish because they felt that's what a consumer, like they were trying to blend, like, you know, they're opening up casks, they're going to create a release. And usually you start like maybe nose, palate, but they said, no, I was drinking casks only for the finish because I believe if you've got a strong finish, you'll take a second sip and you'll enjoy the whiskey.
Well, if I pour a glass, I'm taking more than a second sip unless I hate it. But that's interesting. And was that recent on like the Friday afternoon, the 3 o'clock for us, right?
Yeah, I you know what? I got a podcast grabber, and when I get a chance in the road, I hit play. So I believe it would be in the last two.
Okay, I'll look for
that. It was a smaller bourbon house talking about, they started a golf course. Man, the name's not going to come to me. Sorry. I just want to talk about that finished approach. I thought that was unique. Yeah.
All right. Nope. And it is. And I don't know how you kind of circumvent the nose and the palate to go just to the finish. I've never even thought about doing that. So maybe I'll try that. Not tonight because I've already done these. But and I have taken tastes where you don't think of anything, just kind of acclimatize your palate, just get it ready for the shock of 50 some +%, and then think about it. That's something. I'll do that. Okay. But I'm going to progress to my third.
Awesome.
Yeah, I'm going to progress to number 3 if right now. So the Curaçao right there. And Curaçao is a 17th century Dutch triple sec type of drink where it's an English, so it's an orange liqueur is what it is. And I've got kind of a note to myself over here. The Larajo orange is what makes this what it is, the Curaçao itself. And I have a bottle from them which I got then, but it's not blue anymore. And I'm downstairs in the basement, so I'm not really sure how it went from not blue to this color, golden. And they're really funny, though. They're great because they're right up on the front. It's mace and bitter orange and aged brandy, and the color blue is what they added to this, the color blue. It's funny. So not quite blue anymore.
It's not coming across blue. Just want to say, if it's blue on your end, it's not on the camera. On the label.
And I have a picture of what it used to be too. This is what it used to look like.
Oh,
right
wow.
there.
Wow.
So it was blue, like a deep blue. And it's not in the sun. It's not in the heat because downstairs it's colder. So, yeah. And I don't know if they do this anymore. So if I don't know if James is out there right now, maybe he could type on the side. Maybe they don't do it because they do a quadruple sec instead of a triple sec. So maybe this took the place of it, and it might be because it doesn't stay blue. Maybe we'll find out. But it's so the liqueur itself, 40%, and it goes from 25 to 40. There's a variance for it, Curaçao, and triple sec is just, it's orange to me. That's all I get. It's orange and a little bit of effervescent orange. So that's what I was looking for when I went to the whiskey. And on the nose, it's not coming out quite like that. It's mutated quite a bit because of the rye. So it's still sweet. I get maybe a hint of it, but what I was getting initially is it's vegetal, and it was almost like celery at first. So, which is a scent you don't usually get with whiskey, and you don't equate with whiskey, especially. And I love my rye. I do. I love rye, but it was celery-like, but it changed to the citrus that you'd expect after a while. And I don't know if that was just me playing in my mind, just saying, no, this should be orange, and then making myself think it was orange. I don't know. But this one also had a candied sugar kind of scent to it. So. And I'll ask for my wife's opinion as well when it comes out, because she's got a great palate. It's without sweet at first. Heat tingling at the front of the tongue and what's the percent? This is less, actually, I think. Yeah, 52.1 less.
It's surprising that 52.1 is less, but really the majority of their bottles have been around 57, at least when they're whiskeys. Yeah.
All right, so the rye comes out in this one. It does. And I thought so before, but compared to my first one, the mezcal, the rye doesn't come out. It's put in the background.
That really
with
becomes
your Oloroso that you had.
Yeah.
The rye's a little bit there, maybe. I think it's just trying to come out, but not in here. It's more rye. It's the sweetness, but the rye takes over with the usual.
So, you asked me, could I pick it out? And I kind of hedged, saying, yeah, probably, but certainly by the end of this box. And you indicated maybe you could. What would be a couple of notes that you would say, I think I'm getting this, so that's why I think it's a Sons of Vancouver rye?
That would be really hard to describe because, like I said, it's not a peppery rye whatsoever, and there's a softness to it. They don't chill filter, they don't color, they do everything naturally, so there's a mouthfeel that comes off in this rye compared to some other ryes. But most of the ryes I'm getting now are all from boutique rye places, so it's got the nice mouthfeel that goes to it. What's great about the mouthfeel and it not being chill filtered is when it's a high percentage like this, it doesn't burn as much. It seems to mute it, and you can taste the other flow. And the flavors of this rye that comes out, I would have said at a certain point a little bit flowery, not celery. Not so. That's never come out before, but it's been a little bit
celery
flowery.
note's unique. That's different.
And it's a purple flower in France. That it's lavender is the flavor that I got often, that just came through with the spice with the rye. So something I equated with lavender for some reason. So, and on these two, I have done that blind. My lovely wife gives more. We have the blue Glencairns, and she'll put some ryes if I want to do ryes, and she'll say pick them out or whichever. What do you like? Which one do you not like, and why? So I've always come out on the like side with Sons of Vancouver, but I think the determining factor is the lavender flowery element, and it's kind of at the end of the palate when everything's done and it's kind of dry in the mouth a little bit. That's where it comes out for me. How about you? Do you have something that and the blue Glencairns? These are fantastic, by the way. If you don't have those, it's good. Although they broke in transit, so.
Oh no, I do have to get a set. I still can give it away. I do get people in my house to pour me blinds. I love doing blinds. I appreciate how they help me understand what I'm tasting and what I like. I'm not great at. I mean, every now and then I'll nail all four and like, yay, I'm amazing.
And then you get
all
nothing.
four wrong. But what I do like is they keep me on. Yeah, but what I mean is when I do like a blind, lay it out, and then I go, I like this whiskey. And then if I'm surprised by it, I need to go, okay, some other bias is telling me I don't like this whiskey because nose, palate, finish, I like this whiskey, right? Yeah. So, yeah.
And for me, it used to be, as the president of Alberta Scotch Society, we kind of frowned on Canadian whiskeys for the longest time. It did. And it wasn't until probably 3 or 4 years ago that, and my introduction with Davin DeCurgimo and Blair Phillips, and talking to them and trying so many different Canadian whiskeys after that, that the preconception left. And not only that, and you've talked about this on yours, it's the money. And you think it's a $30 bottle, how is this better than the $120 bottle I have over there? Well, it is. And it can be. There's no reason why it couldn't be. Well, and it is to me in that moment for whatever time or whatever reason. But I agree. And getting over those preconceptions is it's pretty important if you plan on doing this and tasting rye for a long time. Figure yourself out. Know thyself, sir.
Absolutely. And I will say there's still sort of a range of Canadian whiskey that I can recognize now as I think this is a good, what I would call like Canadian house style. Like, it's a lot of corn. It's not as much heavy wood as we're getting in New Oak in the South. But I can recognize like, hey, this is feeling like quality. It's balanced. Yeah, it's sweet. It's little pancakes, little maple syrup. It may not be what I want a second pour of, but I think for people who like Canadian whiskey, this is good. And that's important for me to know my bias, but also to try to be able to say to people that kind of tune in, I think if you like, if you like this, if you like Crown, why don't you give yourself a favor and try this, like that kind of thing. So.
Well, this one a bit different from that, though, too. This is 100% rye, I think, all of these, because they do one of those up there was 98%. The other one was 100% rye. And I can't remember which one was which, but they like their heavy rye content.
Oh, absolutely. And I didn't mean to say, like, especially if anyone's tuning in and they're for some reason new to whiskey. I was just saying that, like, if you pull someone off the street that's had whiskey but doesn't really know, they're usually drinking a blend, right? And when they say Canadian, you got 40 Creek, you got Royal, you got all sorts of, JP Weiser and all that's blended stuff. And even Highwood was a group that is pretty bad at putting rye on their bottle, and there's little or no rye in the bottle. But no, when we look at Sons of Vancouver, that's 100% rye. We look at Lot 40, 100% rye. We look at, like, there are lots of Canadian ryes that I want all around the world for people to taste and associate with Canada. And that's what I want them to. I have a lot of respect for 100% rye we're producing. I
do. And you just said it I've got one, the Century 21 that I have. It's on a tasting that we have this weekend. So I bought all these old bottles at auctions, and this one's from the 1980s that it was done. Nice. And again, people talk about it, and it says 21-year-old Canadian whiskey, and people always thought rye. This is 100% corn. It's just like you said, and there's for the most part it was, and people didn't 2% rye, and they call
not
it
the Century, but the 90-20, the 20-year-old. That also, doesn't that one say rye on it? And it's not. It's 100% corn. You're like, come on, guys, we gotta help our consumers understand.
Well, and because it gets a bad name sometimes because of that. Yeah. It's like, no, say what it is. I'd be proud of it.
You mentioned lavender, and so I poured a little bit of, because one of these bottles is just 100% rye whiskey that I have opened and talked about.
Yes.
And I think that's going to be pretty close to a true health style because they haven't finished it, or I was going to say rebaked it, which is not true, but I mean, they haven't finished it in another cask. And I can get floral on it for sure. And like you said, in the finish, but it's there, but I wouldn't have picked lavender.
What flower or what?
Now I have to think about it. I don't know about the flower, but I'm saying I would have said a little heather, maybe that kind of thing. But I hadn't named the flower. I just would have said floral, but you know what I mean, like the way it presents. Yeah.
Well, and I could be completely wrong, but the lavender, I'm thinking it comes out. There's the floral, a little bit of sweetness. It's not like a rose. It's not like kind of the traditional sense that we get off of them. It's sometimes like a little whiff of perfume that you get, and you get lavender often in perfume. So that's what I'm kind of equating to it, I think.
You mentioned your wife has an excellent palate. My wife does not like whiskey, but she has an excellent nose, and she loves lavender. So when we're done here later tonight, I'm going to bring that and just keep prompting her. I don't want to tell her, do you smell lavender? But I'll see if she gets there.
Excellent. I love that. And it took me a while with my wife. I would make her taste it, but she would put it to her lip, not open her mouth, put it to her lip, and then she would lick her lip. And then for the longest time, and then eventually with Pete, and now she's fantastic at all of them, and a better palate than me, I do believe.
Kind
sir, I liked all three. If you're a mezcal fan, this is fantastic because it goes beyond the mezcal. There's a little bit more to it. If you like the carazo and you like the kind of the orange hint, but you're trying to get into whiskey, I think that's fantastic. And right here, I got to tell you, I'm going to pour more of this. This is what I have. I'm going to pour more, and I'm going to be nosing this upstairs, watching the hockey game for a while, because I did truly enjoy the nose on that. It was really good. Thank you. This was fun.
It was great. Thank you for hosting me. Thanks for making it happen too, giving the invite and following through. Thank you, sir.
Well, anytime. I'm doing this Thursday, the Tuesday after, another Thursday. I'll be two-fisting every night to try to catch up because I'm only doing the whiskeys. But I'll keep watching you as well when you do the liqueurs, because I'm interested. I'm just not confident in my ability to see beyond just sweet, which happens often. It's like, oh, that's sweet. So
far, they have been good, but they're coming off very sweet, right? Because I'm so much used to whiskey. You bet.
Thank you, sir. Thank you to everyone that's here, and we'll see you all again. And quick thing here, I just want one selfless promotion. Actually, is right. My book club. January 14th, I've got Ian Buxton with me. We're talking about that book and maybe this book, or just the 101 Whiskeys to Try Before You Die. So we're talking to him for that night at least, which is fun. So hopefully some other people come in there. Whiskey Book Club. It's fun. It's great. Thank you again. And we will see you hopefully Thursday, sir. If not, I'll be seeing you anyways as you do the next ones you're doing.
Thanks so much. Take care.
Cheers. Slancha. Cheers.
Slancha. Yep.
Everything.